Folks ready to go? Okay, folks, let's go ahead and get started with the agenda for the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency today. We operate under the Open Meetings Law, and a copy of that law is posted in the in the back of the room for your information. Public comment is welcome on the different agenda items, and there is a 5-minute speaking limitation that for each period of testimony. The only thing required is that each individual identify themselves for the official record. The first item, agenda item number 3, is approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting held on August 24th, 2017. It's been moved that they be adopted and seconded that they be adopted. Is there any further comment or discussion? If not, call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
they are adopted. Agenda item number 4 is approval of the August 2017 payment register. Brandon Kaufman will present that to us.
Brandon Kaufman, treasurer for the JPA. So you have the August register before you. It has operating expenditures of $356,115.46. And then you have the capital expenditures for August for a total of $26,104.33. Some highlights in the operating budget. Expenditures was a $49,572 payment to the city of Lincoln. That would be for a festival lot maintenance that Parks and Rec maintains mowing and shrubbery. And then also for Downtown Lincoln Association maintenance of the JPA. There's $107,850.07 payments for parking management, and then $189,967.83 to District Energy Corporation for the August bill, and then a large portion of that would be billed back to the private sector. The capital budget, it's primarily environmental remediation expenses that are ongoing.
Questions of Brandon?
I've got some questions relative to the financial performance overall of the arena. Is now an appropriate time, or do you want to wait till later?
You can ask now if you'd like.
Well, should we maybe wait till the operating budget piece? Do you want to wait?
Pardon me?
Do you want to wait to talk about the overall financial until the operating budget? I'll just wait till then, sorry.
It's your preference, Tim.
Yeah, I'll
whatever
just
you
wait
wanna
till
do.
then.
Okay, you want to wait?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions of Brandon? Okay, is there public comment on the payment register?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government. The parking garage management, did that go to IMG?
Parking garage management goes to the city of Lincoln.
The city of Lincoln?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is IMG?
IMG is the people who do the advertising rights for the arena.
Okay. All kinds of advertising?
Yeah.
And you have a contract with them too,
That is correct.
separate? And the energy's still high?
I'm not sure if I'd characterize it as the energy being high.
It seems like
it's
it's
just-
been high, like that.
I think that's fairly standard payment. They've been around 180,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At one time, the plan was to try to get more facility into it to lower the costs, so how's that going?
As more buildings come online, like the Huddle building and the Lumberworks garage project, those will continue to help lower the cost.
But at this time, it's not?
This number will continue to increase because we're bringing on new facilities. But the JPA will receive higher revenues from the Huddle project and the others that come on in the future.
Okay. But none added at this time, or do you know?
Not at this time. I think Huddle's the closest
Okay,
coming online.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Is there further public comment?
Okay. Just had a follow-up question, if
Sure.
I could ask. Brandon, where's the revenue reported that we would get from the other entities that would utilize?
So I don't think you have a sheet in front of you that specifically reports revenues. If that's something that you'd like, I think we could develop something and bring it back to the board. Within the operating budget that you have before you, on the second page, there's sources of funds. And on that, you can see DEC, customer thermal energy payments. So in 2017-18, there's a proposed payments to be received of 1.38 million.
So approximately a little over $100,000 a month, it looks like.
Yeah.
So then the 189, then you say is offset with about $100,000 of operating revenues billed out to the private sector. So net cost will be about 90,000.
That's correct. And as more
more
buildings come
buildings come
online,
on.
hopefully that net gap will narrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Further questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the payment register?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes?
Eskridge.
Yes.
It is approved. Agenda item number 5, a review of the expenditure report. Also Brandon reporting to us.
So you have the expenditure report in front of you that reflects the expenditures that we just talked about within the payment register through August 31st, 2017. You have reports for the operating and also Phase 1 and Phase 2 capital budgets. Everything's reflected in there, and a little bit of information on the revenue side. Occupation taxes were up at 1.88% through August for the fiscal year. That's still 25% above the original projected amount, which places us in corresponding with the year 2028 for the original projections.
Okay, questions of Brandon?
What that means then is that in the initial budget, just to be clear, the initial budget that we put together that was presented when we were promoting the bond issue to start the arena process and the West Haymarket JPA process, our original budget that we published said that the revenue that's there today is where we project to be in 2028.
That is correct. Yeah.
So we're doing okay then.
We're doing pretty good.
All right, further comment? Is there public comment on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government. On the other building maintenance, what does that include?
So that would include maintenance for the Amtrak facility.
Okay,
And then also, there's 300,000 in there for the Pinnacle Bank Arena maintenance budget that we reimburse expenditures to them on.
okay. Just the two?
Primarily.
Any others?
I think those are the two primary. There might be some smaller ones in there.
Okay. You could get that to me if I ask?
Sure, we could do that.
Okay. Other services and charges. That's the heading for those down in there. Is that it?
That's kind of the main category heading.
Okay. And on the second page, 992, West Haymarket surplus. What's included in that?
Make sure I'm following you here.
Here, over here.
Okay. So that would be the total for all of the expenses above it.
Above
so
it.
that
Okay.
708,000 plus the 283,000.
Okay. Miscellaneous equipment, is that for the arena or?
Yeah, so that would be, miscellaneous things that are listed in the capital improvement budget.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other public comment? If not, no approval is required of this item, so we'll move on to item number 6, Resolution WH 1722, resolution to adopt the JPA operating budget for 2017-2018. You take us through that, Brandon?
Sure. So you have an operating budget before you for 2017-2018 that's proposed of $25,251,000 and 437 cents. That's a 5% decrease from the prior year. Included in that is personnel costs of reimbursement to the city of $441,992. That goes to support basically 3.55 staff that are allocated for the JPA from the city. Materials and supplies is proposed at $8,029,404. That's a 13% decrease. If I can walk through some of the line items there. So I'll highlight some of any changes that might be in there. One of them that's I want to highlight real quick is the arena operating incentive fee. That's a fee that has shifted from the Pinnacle Bank Arena budget. We felt that since the fee, part of their incentive fee is based upon their financial performance of Pinnacle Bank Arena, those expenses for the incentive were being included within the financial performance. We felt that it was right and fair to the company, to SMG, that be moved over to the Pinnacle or to the JPA budget and not be counted as part of their financial performance overall, so that we could get a truer picture of how the arena is performing. So that's been shifted over from the PBA budget. We budgeted as part of that contract, they can earn up to their annual management fee, which is $204,000. We've budgeted up to 90% of that.
But in exchange for that incentive fee, the offset is that they're bringing in a significant amount of revenue, and we're incenting them to bring in additional revenue.
That's
correct?
correct. There's the way the contract's structured, they've got financial performance, customer service type focus as well. So there's certain thresholds that they're trying to hit and perform in order to incentivize them to do better. The maintenance and capital improvement budget, that's also another agenda item. I can go into it now if the board wishes, or if you'd like a more detailed kind of account as we walk through the CIP budget. So I'm looking to you right now for feedback. Would you like me to go ahead and go through that right now?
What do you all prefer?
Might as well talk
Okay.
a little, you talk, give us 30,000-foot view on that.
Okay, so included in the capital improvement budget, that's $1,355,925,000. 580,000 of that is rollovers from the prior year that was authorized, but that wasn't completed. So included in that is metal detectors, heat pumps, some heating unit replacement for the dock area, and naming and fixing the naming rights sign. So some of those are rollovers that are coming into the current year.
Athletics at the University of Nebraska is paying for part of that, those metal detectors, though, correct?
I'd probably have to,
I thought athletics was covering some of the expense on security.
It's not at this point.
Huh.
That covers the cost of it, whether it's, comes back as a portion of rent is something still to be negotiated.
Okay.
other items included in the capital improvement budget, there's annual maintenance dollars, and then general kind of replacement items that we budget in capital for an annual basis, like fixing irrigation systems, any responsibilities with the bridge, food and beverage equipment that goes out. So most of it is fairly standard items. A few new items within there. There's $150,000 that's budgeted for the replacement of the floor. I believe that was scheduled to be replaced in 2020. However, the university at the same time wanted to refinish the floor, and our management company thinks that it'd be valuable at this time to go ahead and replace the floor because we would have a high trade-in value instead of sending it away for a month to have it refinished and then coming back. That's in there. There's also some additional security measures that's included in that $330,000 for looking at some additional bollards and security equipment for around the arena.
Anymore, you can't have too much.
So that's a high-level overview of the capital improvement program. Moving down the line, there's no other major changes. The budget for district energy goes up. That increases because of Huddle coming online, plus some estimates for energy increases overall. And that will continue to increase as more buildings come online. Like I just mentioned earlier, that we continue to pay the expenses, but then get reimbursed when we bill those revenues out. Debt payments, which is the kind of the next major category, are at $16.8 million. We're still about 3 years off from 2020 when the first principal payments kick in. And then at that point, we'll see about an increase of $4.8 million. So those are the highlights of the operating budget, and we'll stand for any questions at this time.
Questions?
And this is the budget for the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency,
That is correct.
which is different than the Pinnacle Bank Arena.
That is correct.
This would imply that the project is doing pretty well financially and is pretty stable.
Excuse me.
I said this would imply that in your prior report would imply that the project itself is financially stable.
That is correct. So I think if you look at this from an overall picture, you've got two items here. You've got the Pinnacle Bank Arena, but then you've got the JPA. And the good thing is that there's no property taxes that go into any of those two budgets. There's no sales taxes that go to fund any arena operations. And also, there's no occupation taxes that are going to the arena. Those are coming to the JPA. The JPA gets about $5.9 million within its annual budget that is directly generated from the arena. So of that $5.9 million that we get, premium seat revenues, advertising sponsorships, rent from the university, parking revenues, those wouldn't be generated without the arena. So 5.9 million is generated by the arena directly. We transfer back about 1.8 million to the to the arena budget. And if you look at it, it's more of a control mechanism that we're holding on to certain portions of the revenue and then transferring them back to the arena. If you look at the way the arena ended up at year end this year, I think they were net about $260,000. So overall, I think if you look at it from the whole picture, and we're not even talking about the economic impacts that the arena has had, or that it's sold almost $1 million or $1 million worth of tickets, since 2013, around 60 million in sales. I'm not sure I could quantify the sales tax impact that the arena has and the property development that's occurred right now. But so I'd say overall it's been a successful project, and that there's no subsidies from any types of taxes that are going into the arena operations.
Maybe this is a question that should be directed to Tom, because under a normal, the way we set this up is we wanted to have the monies come to the JPA for, so that if there's, so the money coming into the JPA, because that's who has the ultimate obligation to pay back the bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So under a normal situation, if we didn't have that set up that way, these advertising revenues, some of the premium seat revenues, the parking revenues we're talking about, those would go back to an SMG and not come back to us. And so what we're in effect doing, we had the goal initially, and correct me if I'm right, if I'm wrong, Tom, but I believe it was set up so that we wanted SMG, and SMG agreed as well to as close to break even as possible. So the idea of this concept of a subsidy really isn't a subsidy. What it is this is monies that they normally would have gotten under a different type of an arrangement, but rather than having the money go to SMG, it comes to the JPA. Is that correct?
I think that is correct, and I think Tom could add to that as far as other arena operations around the country and how and what normal revenues that they receive.
Because again, the backstop here, we needed those monies coming. We wanted to be have those monies to help offset the ultimate cost of the bonds, and that's what we're seeing the growth right now. And what we're doing basically is giving you a proportion of those monies that otherwise would all be yours.
And that $5.9 million that's generated through operations, whether that's through naming rights, whether that's through all the different revenue sources that come in, by putting them to the JPA, the project saved tremendous amounts of money overall because they were paying the bonds, the bond covenants had those coverings going to the JPA. So it allowed us to have a 3.5% cost of capital as opposed to a 5% cost of capital.
Right.
And on a $300 million bond float, that's tremendous amounts of money that are saved every year by that going through there. So the operation does very well. If you ran it the other way and all those revenue streams came through the operator, for us, for example, we'd be writing a check back to the JPA every year in excess of $2 million. And so it's whatever side of the ledger that it happens to go on, but it's more advantageous to be on the city's or the JPA's side of the ledger because you get those savings on your bond payments.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
That's great with me. I just, there was an article in the paper on Sunday, and it's generating some discussion, and I think I think the article tells a fraction of the story and doesn't tell the big picture story, which is this project was set up and structured appropriately and is financially very stable, and the monies that are going back to SMG are not subsidy monies, that instead they're part of the payment that would have, in an otherwise situation, would have been theirs to begin with. People aren't going to come to the arena if you don't sell if you don't have good shows. And so you're doing a job of creating good shows, and those good shows then is resulting in higher advertising revenues that you don't get, we get.
And it's, the naming rights sponsor expects to have a certain number of people through every year. That's part of the MOU, and we've been able to meet that 700 to 750,000 per year a number of people to come through. The certain number of shows that we do is part of the agreements. All the different things that we generate through are revenue-producing portions of what we do. And each piece of revenue that we generate not only generates sales tax, but also generates turnback tax, because all of the revenues that are generated within the arena, not even counting the outlying hotels, are subject to turnback tax. So that's $60 million worth of ticket sales were all subject to turnback tax, and that's a significant amount of money that goes back to bond repayment. So not only do we generate sales tax and some general profit with it, but the turnback tax and all the other ancillary things do make a difference.
That's all I got.
Questions, Carl? Are you okay? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. I think, if I remember right now, we're on agenda item number 6. Resolution 1722, approval of the operating budget. Is there public comment on this?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government. Saying it's true doesn't make it true, or doesn't mean that it is true. If the arena is so successful, why does it need subsidies? When we examined asked for a FOIA, a lot of it was blacked out, redacted by Mr. Lorenz. And we don't have any real belief that anybody knows really what's going on. So, saying it's a big economic benefit, we don't have any facts for that. Some people may go by what's said, but we'd like to have facts in order to see it. It looks like a money pit. I don't see any, or we don't see any way that it's going to be any different in the future. So we don't have a lot of faith that this whole thing's been laid out for the public. And why it hasn't been is another question. I don't want to think that it's hidden from us, but, it isn't laid out for us. We would like a really big discussion with SMG about how this is managed. And looked at by you again. It's real easy to get into contracts with people and never reevaluate what needs to be fixed, adjusted, whatever. And so the question is, if everything is so wonderful and so generating money, why does the arena need a supplement? And people operate, I hope, on facts, not on talk, or not on incomplete explanations. It could be, concerts could be, in light of what happened in Las Vegas, could be difficult. I'm not saying we're going to have a problem here, but the general feeling of people going to concerts can have an effect on people about whether they should do that or not. So we would like to see a more light shed on what is going on. We would like to see an examination of the SMG contract so that the public can feel comfortable about that. At this time, it just looks like it's costing us money, that the JPA is subsidizing them, and we wonder when that's going to stop and why it's happening at this time if things are great. We hear about the economic impact, but we never get figures about that. Are we just supposed to blindly believe that it is having an economic impact? What are the facts behind that? So we would like to see some of that information given out to the public. In facts, not in talk. Mr. Clare said it implies that the picture is stable. Well,
It's 5 minutes.
1 minute notice, or am I done?
That's 5 minutes.
Done? Okay.
Jane, you can take another 30 seconds if you want to finish up.
What?
You can take a little bit more time if you want to finish up.
Okay. So we'd really like to see some explanation, some facts given to us. I don't know if you can do that, but it would certainly relieve our minds, and we think we represent some portion of the public that does have questions about this. If you can do that, we would sure appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 17-22?
Second?
Been moved and seconded to approve it. Is there further comment? Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
the resolution is approved. Agenda item number 7, we have discussed. Is there public comment on Resolution 17-23, agenda item number 7?
To approve or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guess we don't feel comfortable about part of the arena issues. I assume that you do have some figures, which Brandon has given to me. From time to time, I can ask for some more of it. We have to have confidence that this is appropriate. And as I say, we do accept about the arena issues. I hope that that electric bill can come down, and that some real efforts being made to lower that, because that's taking out of the public monies. Looks pretty high. I think for your, as I can read it, your occupation tax is really making everything look good for the repayment of the bonds. and that's good, but it's not stable. It could go down, or it could be in jeopardy too. So we'll hope that that projection does hold, and that we won't, as taxpayers, be picking up the bill. That's a lot of money in the future here, and for a lot of years. And of course, some or all of us may not be here to see how that will work out. Thank you.
Jane, thank you. Is there further public comment? Seeing none, the question is the approval of WH 1723 relating to the capital budget. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Did I invite further public comment?
Yes.
Did I? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve. Further comment? Call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
it is approved. Agenda item number 8, the next meeting date without objection, it will be Thursday, October 26th at 2017 at 2:30 p.m. at the City County Building, Bill Luxford Studio on the first floor. Is that okay with you, gentlemen?
Perfect. Yes.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, call the roll.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
we are adjourned. Thank you.